Operation Fire for Effect, we have the co-chair of the Chicago #1 chapter, and we also have the president and vice president of OFFE, based out of Rochester, New York, here with us today, Gene Symes and Jerry Berry. May I have a round of applause for OFFE? And with them is my lovely father, John Monahan, also co-president of the #1 chapter Chicago division. Thank you.
All right, let me start. Everybody who's an exclusive member of I Remember My First Haircut in Boot Camp, I want to hear it loud. Yeah! Yeah! Come on, louder than that! Yeah! Yeah! Now, I want everybody else that is an exclusive member to turn to that veteran and say thank you very much for your service. A hug, a shake, whatever. But turn to these veterans and tell them thank you, because this is what it's about. The whole thing of this, guys, is we have to do this now. They go out and they ask us to give. Some of us gave all that aren't here. Some of us, they came back and we're all worried. Some of us said enough is enough. We don't have anywhere to go. Well, it's not going to happen anymore. This is the first of many stops. Veterans Awareness Day, I want to thank from the city, Alderman Mel, Pat Quinn, and Tony Perica for sponsoring this, and it's the first of many. We're going to go on. We're going on to Springfield, and we're not going to stop. We're going to Washington, D.C., because we earned it. Nobody gave it to us. We earned it. We deserve it, and that's the least if they want us to go over there and become lad rat, whatever, to come back and to be proud of what we do. I want to thank you all for coming, and God bless us all, because all us veterans, that's all we ask for, man, a little bit. We don't want nothing that's given to us. And the odd thing, we keep doing it over and over again because we all care. Because a veteran is green. That's what it's all about. So I want to thank you all for being here, and Gene and Jerry, I want to thank also with Jeff Showalter, because this made it a part, and also from the Pierogi, which is me, to the Shamrock Show, we put this all together. John Monahan and Fred Gajewski, and believe me, it was something. It was a labor of love. No accident could keep me from doing this. Nothing at all. And I want to thank you all for being here. And I'm here for the veterans who couldn't be here for one reason or the other. Thanks, guys. And remember, we're out of no more. No more. No more. Thanks. And now, I want to introduce...
On February 5th of this year, history was made in 23 counties in Illinois.
Gene Symes and Jerry Berry from Operation Fire for Effect out of New York. Guys, it's yours.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, okay, now roll it, Raul.
Listen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Willie Nelson.
On February 5th of this year, history was made in 23 counties in Illinois. 1.3 million Illinois voters approved an advisory referendum which appeared on their primary election ballot. The referendum asked voters if the United States of America should adopt full mandatory funding for veterans' health care. The results, 94% of the voters said yes. And the time has come to take the politics out of the VA funding by adopting full mandated funding. And this is Willie Nelson asking you to call your representatives and voice your support for full mandatory funding for veterans' health care and services. And the time has come for America to stand up for her troops.
www.OFFE2008.org.
You know, you got a good guy when you have Willie. You know, it's not just singing on the road again, or just just sitting there and looking at the country. He's out there thinking, what else can he do for his country? Well, what you did, and what many, many others are doing every day right now. But we have to sacrifice a great deal with that, and that's sometimes electing representatives that aren't listening. Now is the time, and this is about you, and me, and them behind me. We can make that change. We can make a great change for our men and women, because what happens to our veterans happens to our communities. What happens to our communities happens to our veterans. You're a part of that. We're here today for mandatory full funding. That's what I'm here for today. And my heart's in it all the way. I'm asking you to look at that. If you was at the ballots on February 5th and you voted unanimously for mandatory full funding, let's tell the other 49 states that the second largest county in the United States of America is saying mandatory full funding. And that's because you make it happen. Once you start the whole water to flow, it catches on. It lets everything else grow as it goes along. But it can't do it without you. Okay? You know, Abraham Lincoln, this is the land of Lincoln, and this says, you know, of the people, for the people, and by the people. It didn't say by our representatives, but the people that hired these representatives. We have a representative out there that is saying, well, mandatory assured funding, that's good. That's a Band-Aid, people. I don't accept it, and I don't think our veterans are going to accept it. Are you? No! Okay? It's mandatory full funding, and I know whoever comes aboard to be the next President of the United States, that is going to be written on their speech, and you're going to hear it loud and clear. And that's going to be mandatory full funding. Then you can recognize the person that you may be, hopefully, going to elect to run this United States of America. And it's not going to be the ones that pledge or promise. It's going to be the one that's going to commit and give their obligation. We're done with promises and pledges. The individuals that run this county and the state of Illinois, such as Lieutenant Governor Quinn, Pat Quinn, and the Commissioner, Cook County, Anthony Perica, Alderman Richard Mill, you know, you have power here. Utilize it. Utilize that power to make it happen. And they're doing it. They stood for mandatory full funding, and they said nothing less will matter but mandatory full funding. Tony Perica, hey, look at this man. He says nobody changes the words for what we have on this resolution. Mandatory full funding, my friends. Our representative, Phil Harris, is not going to be assured funding, my friends. And if you have your other characters out there, I'm sorry. I don't play that game. I'm a one independent person. I'm not led by anybody. I'm not led by any national organization. I'm led by what's in my heart and what's in your heart. And that's mandatory full funding, veterans. Do we have it? Yes? Let's hear it a little louder. I thank you so much for listening to me just this little bit. You don't have to hear very much, because the next people that that's going to come up here is going to echo the words that would have came out of my voice one way or the other. One last thing I'll tell you is John Monahan and Fred Giansky, each one of them are a committee. They don't need me to lead them. Just so I'm acknowledges what's going on, that's what I want to know. And as long as for the benefit of the veteran, they are the chapter #1 director of operations for Chicago, Illinois, and they'll continue being that. We're here to back them up with the unions of New York State and the unions that are here supporting it. We support you, John and Fred. You're not alone. We're here now, and we're going to stay here. God bless you.